Peace, peace, and great bliss. Welcome. Here's a little something I would like to add here. So I'm going to put this sort of self-portrait right here in the background. I know it's been a while since I've been on camera. And maybe I'll come on camera again soon. I don't know. I've just been feeling like, don't want to be on camera. Not really sure why. It's probably a whole slew of psychological, subconscious, unconscious, whatever, suppressed ideologies that I'm dealing with. But sometimes being on camera can be a distraction. It can be a distraction. And I do not want to be a distraction in that way, and probably a distraction in other ways. But I'm Tamu Ngina, Priestess Heart. Thanks for being here. Having a cup of tea, not tea in the traditional exact sense of what tea is, but I'm having some yerba mate. What's in your cup today? So we're going to begin. I'm going to begin today's sharing. I'm going to read from Lao Tzu, Tao Te Ching, and this is a translation by Stephen Addis and Stanley Lombardo, which if you've been on my channel for any amount of time, you've seen me share. Sorry, it's a little tight in this space here, but here's the translation. We're just going to do one translation today. We're going to cover we got the tea. We're going to cover some tarot and some Yi Ching. So pull up a chair. Make yourself comfortable. If you're here and you'd like to say hello, I'll give you a shout out. Say hello. Dao Chung. Tao is empty. Its use never exhausted. Bottomless. The origin of all things. It blunts sharp edges. It blunts sharp edges, unties knots, softens glare, becomes one with the dusty world. Deeply subsistent, I don't know whose child it is. It is older than the ancestor. And that's the Tao Te Ching, Chapter 4. And welcome, Pavel. Welcome. The Tao that can be named, once it's named, it ceases being the Tao. That's not from today's reading, but I just wanted to remind ourselves of that. Oh, I just realized I didn't attach the microphone. Are you guys able to hear me very well? If not, let me know and I will put the microphone. I will attach the microphone. I just found it in my bag. So let me know. Let's see if I can plug it in without knocking the camera over. And then I will gladly finish. Okay, I have it turned on now. Let's see if I can set the microphone up. Audio is good? Okay, so I'll just go ahead and leave the microphone off. I kind of pride myself with having always, even as a child, spoken from my diaphragm. I like to project my voice. I would have been an actor. I enjoy being on stage. But I developed, and this is me being transparent, I developed a stutter as a child when I was approximately 10 years old. It was devastating. It was like one day I just woke up and I stuttered and I could not stop. I think, let's see, how did that go? In the 5th grade, I developed a stutter when I was 10. It was most excruciating and humiliating. I never got speech therapy, unfortunately, but I learned how to cope. And so now, at this point in my life, almost 40 years later, actually over 40 years later, the only time usually I'll stutter is if I'm stressed or have not had enough sleep. Okay, so I just opened Kuan Yin, Accessing the Power of Divine Feminine, which we've used this book in the past. Kuan Yin. And opened, oh no, did I lose the page? Let me see if I can find that page because I just opened the book and, let's see. I'm not even sure if this has the content. Okay, yes it does. Okay. All right. Well, I lost the page. I forget what number that was. It was Regeneration. I might have to come back to it another time. I'm going to see if I can find it. Nope. So we're just going to go with Kuan Yin 20, chapter 20, Water Moon. Let's see if I can, because I always like to show you pictures. Pictures are beautiful. The pictures are beautiful. This is the Water Moon, Kuan Yin, reflection. With the full moon reflecting on the water, Kuan Yin stands on a lotus flower atop a pedestal of rock. In her left hand, she holds a lotus flower, while from the vase in her right hand, she pours the crystal clear nectar of compassion. According to a Chinese saying, the one moon reflects in 1,000 rivers, and all 1,000 rivers reflect the one moon. One spring nourishes countless flowers, and myriad of flowers breathe the miracle of the one spring. So ultimately, there is no difference between Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, and humans. Man too owns the Buddha nature, although he is not yet conscious of the nature of reality. Only through enlightenment will he become a Buddha. According to Chinese cosmology, he will first enter the trinity of heaven, human, earth, and then the one, the Tao. In Tao, there is no more separation. Man himself may become Kuan Yin. He sends down the sweet dew, the Dharma rain, to quench the flames of earthly desires. That's from the Lotus Sutra, chapter 26. Connect with Water Moon Kuan Yin if you want to further examine what the world is reflecting to you. Find out where you can touch its essence directly instead of falling for its mirror image. Water Moon Kuan Yin can support you in gaining deeper insight into the principle of cause and effect. I love it when that happens. I thought we were going to read about regeneration, but we're reading about reflection. And of course, in that reflection, it points back to the Tao that we were reading about earlier. So what I take notice of a couple of different things in here. In the third paragraph, it says, ultimately, there is no difference between Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, and humans. So what is a Buddha? A Buddha is one who is awakened. Comes from Bodhi, which is seed. One who is awakened. So you might ask yourself, what are you awakened to? So as we go back a little bit, we awaken to our own Buddha nature, or as some might call it, like your Christ center, that part of you that is untouched by the craziness of material existence, the part of you that is not constantly being tossed hither and thither by your hormones, by your desires, by unhealed egos, by whatever we were fortunate or misfortunate, unfortunate enough to be affected with in our childhood. Awaken to life as it truly is and being okay with that process. That's what a Buddha is. A Bodhisattva is a little bit a lower down from one who's completely awakened, because once you're awakened, then you're completely, you're in the world, you're like a lotus. Lotus rises up out of, say, like swampy waters or muddy waters, and it's pristine and beautiful and glorious, but it does sprout up out of muddy waters. A bodhisattva is one who, they're on that path to awakening, and just as they are awakening, but instead of completely leaving this realm, being untouched by this realm, they stay in the realm so that they can in turn extend that hand behind, such as Kuan Yin does, Avalokiteshvara, one who hears the cries of the world. A bodhisattva is one who kind of reaches that hand back to help others, to remind others to look back into their own true nature. That's what a bodhisattva is. And then a human, it's all of us who are here experiencing everything this material realm has to experience, including being deluded by Maya, forgetting our true essence, our true nature. We're being flung back and forth like a baby in the cradle, screaming and crying one moment, laughing and giggling the next moment. That's a human. So it's through the enlightenment process. And what is enlightenment? It's just knowing self. Know thyself, which is an ancient maxim which you can find in the temples in Egypt. Know thyself. And in the fourth paragraph, according to Chinese cosmology, he will first enter the trinity of heaven, human, and earth. That reminds me of a practice I had started doing about 15 years ago. And I want to share this with you, and then you can do it yourself. And remember to do it. Do it every day, and especially in those moments where you're feeling a little bit stressed. You take your left hand and put it over your heart center. Take your right hand and put it just above your navel. And in each moment that you can remember to do this, Gently put your hands there and breathe in, just nice and relaxed. Just allow yourself to breathe in the healing energy of life, the existence, the energy that surrounds us. Everything is energy, the physicists tell us. So this isn't new age mumbo jumbo. Everything is chi, ki, prana, some call it organ. Putting your hands over your heart center, and your left hand over your heart center, and your right hand either just over your navel or just above your navel. And taking a moment to breathe in nice and deep. And breathing out both through your nose and grounding yourself. Let go of the idea of sending negative energy into the earth. Just allow yourself to breathe in all the goodness that life has to offer, or the neutralness, whatever you want to call it, whatever you feel that can support you and can bring a sense of peace to you. Allow yourself to breathe that in. And while you're breathing in and you're touching those centers, feel yourself grounded on the earth, and also feel yourself as if there's like this golden thread reaching out from the top of your head, and it's funneling in that life force energy from the universe around you. So you're breathing up through the earth and down through your crown, down through the top of your head, and it's circulating in that area. And so where it says, according to Chinese cosmology, he will first enter the trinity of heaven, human, and earth, and then the one, the Tao, where there is no separation. And man himself may become Kuan Yin. So man himself, woman, man as in mankind, may become Kuan Yin, one who is compassionate, who is full of mercy, and who hears the cries of others and hears the cries for himself. So doing a practice of connecting heaven and earth within yourself, so you can also replace human with heart. So bring in heaven and earth, these two, say, diametrically opposed positions. Heaven, the yang, earth, the yin, the masculine, the feminine, these two sustaining life force energies, bringing them together into your heart and allowing it to regenerate yourself, allowing it to help you to self-reflect, to not only see yourself for who you are, but to see life for what it is. And I'll just share the contemplation one last time and we'll move forward. Connect with Water Moon Kuan Yin if you want to further examine the world, what the world is reflecting to you. Find out where you can touch its essence directly instead of falling for its mirror image. Water Moon Kuan Yin can support you in gaining deeper insight into the principle of cause and effect. So that is a meditative practice that you can use to help stabilize you and ground you wherever it is you are on your emotional, mental maturity, whatever journey in life, so that you can understand why things are happening in your life, what those effects are going to be, and how you can move forward and move through and grow. So I'm going to shuffle the I Ching cards, and I use Benebell Wynn's I Ching cards that she created with her translation of the I Ching. And not sure if I'm going to be able to put that card up. Here we go. There we go. 58. Let's see. 58. Get a good glimpse of that. 58. Mirth. A joyous exchange. So let me see if I can set this right here. We're going to set that right in front of Kuan Yin. Sorry, Kuan Yin. Let's see if we can leave that up there. 58. And we are looking at lake over lake. Mirth. A joyous exchange. Oh, I apologize for that. And have my ringer off. Okay. All right. So we're looking at lake over lake, and let's see what the Bagua lake represents. I mean, we know it's water, but what does lake represent? Lake. And here we go. Dui. Dui. I'm going to have to start taking some Chinese pronunciation because I know I'm probably mangling this. A fertile womb. Receptivity for further growth. Nourishment. Receiving pleasure. Tranquility. Devotion. Joy. Satisfaction. Stagnation. Openness. Intuition and vision. Receptivity for further growth. We just saw that in the Kuan Yin that we were reading. I don't know, I keep smelling something that's burning. Hopefully it's just a candle. With the full moon reflecting on the water, and here we are. Let's see, I think I just missed something. Pavel asked, do you recommend any grounding crystals along with the grounding meditation? And welcome, Christine. That's a good question, and I will take a moment and answer that before I continue with this this Bagua reading. Years ago, I think that was probably back in 2008 when I first graduated and got my diploma in therapeutic reflexology. I remember at first I was going to volunteer for hospice. I had done hospice training, but then I realized where I was in life that I did not have the capability to completely commit my time to hospice, time to be there for families or be there for the individuals, because I still had little children, young children at home. They were in middle school and maybe junior high at the time. I just decided to, do some volunteer work for the hospice organization. And my first big hurrah was to do reflexology for a group of healthcare workers. And these were people who were like nurses' aides. And I think I shared this story like maybe 3 years ago on my channel. And I did about 8 reflexology sessions in a 2-hour time frame. I only did maybe 10 minutes on each person, which, isn't a lot. However, when you're doing any type of physical work or any kind of work with people, energy is a real thing. So whether someone's going through X, Y, and Z in their life, it is in their energy fields. So if a person isn't doing their own work and processing their emotions and working through things, those emotions get stuck in their energy field, and it comes in contact with whomever that person comes in contact with. So that's why you can be in the presence of some people and you can feel energized and invigorated, and you just feel happy and joyful, and it's a mutual exchange. Or you can be around some people and it can be draining. And You can also be draining yourself. Say if you're depressed or going through a hard time and your energy is heavy, that can be contagious. So I did this session for 2 hours, and I remember driving back home. It was an hour to get back home, and I remember feeling elated and wonderful and felt so good because I was, doing what I felt I was put on this earth to do, which was to help other people. But as I slowly got closer to home, I literally felt this dark cloud hanging over me, and it was like squeezing in on me. And I ended up, by the time I got home, I was literally shaking, and I had to go get in the bed. It was maybe around 7 o'clock when I got home, and I just got in bed. And then I noticed the next 2 weeks, I felt worse and worse and worse and worse. And then finally, I was chatting with one of my teachers, um, Robin Little Feather Hannon. And I explained to her what was going on, and she let me know that I needed to learn how to ground myself. I was taking on all of these other people's energies. And so she taught me some grounding techniques. No, she recommended that I use, carry some stones with me and also ground. And so to answer your question, Pavel, yes. Um, Once she did a clearing on me, and at first I started with having some hematite on me. Hematite is a good grounding stone. Obsidian, uh, smoky quartz. Why do I keep smelling something? Give me one moment. I need to go and check something. Something is really disturbing. Okay, nothing's going on. I think it's just the candle. I just have this weird sensation of something is burning. So anyway, smoky quartz, obsidian, onyx, uh, black tourmaline. These are all great crystals to that absorb negative energy. Uh, Also, another thing, what I would do was I would do this exercise that I just shared with you. I grounded myself, and I allow the earth energy to come up into my heart and all throughout my body, and I released the energy. And I tell you, I do not always, at this point, I do not necessarily carry crystals to ground anymore. Once I learned how to do it, and because you want to get to a place where you awaken to your Buddha nature and you recognize that you have within you everything that you need. And so you will no longer need external physical matter tools, because you recognize that you are the universe and you have everything within you that you need. But on the same token, we are also in this physical world, and enjoy and hold on to what you need, but just do not allow it to become a crutch for you. And recognize that, yes, these things are wonderful to have. They're wonderful to have. The selenite, which also is good for clearing energy. But they're not absolute necessities. So yes, you can have your crystals. And you also get to the point where you learn how to regulate the flow of energy in your body without using physical methods, without necessarily standing and making sure that you're grounded, without even putting your hands on your heart and your abdominal region, your dantian. You learn how to move the energy with your mind, with your consciousness, and you allow that energy to flow. But that's all a journey. And I would not recommend jumping steps, start with your crystals. And with your crystals, start with your physical, you know, physical things that you want to do. And even from there, go with the mental. But yes, I hope that answers your question, Pavel. Okay, so back to lake. Metal, the direction is west. The season, the yellow path is autumn equinox. The season with Lo Shu 9 halls is cardinal winter. The life aspect is children, fertility, nurturing. Medically is related to mouth, oral cavity, digestive and reproductive systems, chronic pain or diseases, nutrition, sexuality. Chakra is the third eye. The animals, the sheep and also the tiger. The archetype, the diviner. The immortal is Zhongli Huan, patron of warriors, ceremonial magicians, and alchemists. And we're going to go to number 58. And if you guys have any other questions, please feel free to ask them, and I'll try to do my best to keep my answers a little bit shorter. But grounding and, I mean, you don't even have to use the term grounding. Moving energy daily is something that's important to do. It's important to move your physical body, stretching, yoga. And I don't mean like, it's funny, I ask my clients, do you stretch? Yeah, I stretch when I go to the gym. And, you know, that's one thing when you're talking to someone who is a teenager or in their early 20s. But once you get above a certain age, I just look people in the eye and say, okay, you're 60 years old now. You need to be stretching every day, like personal hygiene, like not just when you go to the gym. You got to stretch every day. The number one of the reasons why as we age and you hear about 70-year-olds or 80-year-olds falling is because their muscles get tighter. You know, your muscles get tighter as you get older, not just simply because you're getting older, but because you're not moving and you're not as active as you were when you were a little kid. And so, and then of course, the saying goes, what you don't use, you lose, and you have to stretch. And when you don't stretch, those muscles get shorter and tighter and they tense up. And that's what helps you to fall, or that's what helps you to, when you turn to your right, you end up pulling a muscle because your muscles are tight and they're spazzing out. So the stretching is really important. And I don't know why I went off on that tangent. I think I'm on tangents this morning. Okay, so we're going to look at lake. I hope you guys are enjoying your cup of tea or coffee or whatever your beverage of choice is. Mirth, a joyous exchange. Inner light shines outward. A small sacrifice in the moment to ensure greater gains later. An auspicious omen. Proceeding on your endeavor will yield a fortuitous outcome. However, the oracle offers a gentle warning. Joy must be controlled and sincere, and every space of that joy occupied equally with humility. Do not let merriment degenerate to debauchery. To maintain joy, maintain lively, intellectual discourse with your equals. Learning on your own is not enough. Amplify that education by studying further with others. To seek joy is to seek discourse that will advance your body of knowledge. Wow, that's a lot in that one. How do you advance your body of knowledge? Think about this time that we're living in where we're so quick to cut off and basically cancel those that we disagree with, or whatever it is that we disagree with. So it's like, unless we're all agreeing to see things the same, and we're agreeing on the same amount of facts equals this particular truth, or the same amount of facts equals that particular truth, how does that advance our knowledge if we're only constantly reflecting back to us what we want to see? So having discourse with others will sometimes put you in a position where you'll hear a point of view that you do not agree with. And I would like to encourage you to entertain the process of hearing and learning about a mindset, a way of being that you may not necessarily agree with. I'm not saying embrace it. I'm not saying take it in as your own, but learn how other people think and what makes them tick, because that will indeed advance your body of knowledge. So we'll hear the same gua, the same hexagram, 58, and we'll get it translated by physicist Kersan Hong, who was a professor of physics, of theoretical physics at MIT once upon a time. And he did a translation of the I Ching, an actual literal translation. I love this one. Okay, 58. And I'll show you. Here's the title of his book if you want to check it out. Okay, hold on one second. I believe the cat has turned the television on. Okay. The little one just finished his first period class today. Okay, so Lake, 58. Sign of the sacrifice, auspicious omen. Line 1. And remember, we always start from the bottom of the trigram. So, bottom of the hexagram, right there at the bottom, which is a yang line, a masculine line, 2 yang lines, 1 yin line, 2 yang lines, 1 yin. Gentle talk, all goes well. Sincere talk, all goes well. Regret disappears. As excessive talk, misfortune. The discussion is unfinished. The discussion is unfinished. The itching ailment will heal. Punishing the downtrodden peril, straight talk. Well, thank goodness for other translations that are basically sort of like interpretations, because as you can see with the exact verbatim literal translation, we have no idea what he's saying. And let's see. And we end our I Ching reading with the I Ching, or Book of Changes. I really enjoy the interpretation by Brian Brown Walker. And again, guys, if you have any thoughts that you'd like to share, go right ahead. Or any questions or any suggestions. Okay. 58. The joyous lake. True joy is experienced by those who are strong within and gentle without. You got to be strong within to be able to, strong within to know yourself, to know who you are, so that you're able to hear other people and their ideas without feeling like their ideas are going to somehow diminish yours or make your ideas null and void. The hexagram Dwi teaches us how to come into possession of joy. In our search for success and happiness, we are prone to think that we must take aggressive actions to achieve them. The instruction of the I Ching is just the opposite. Only those who practice innocence, acceptance, and detachment inherit true joy in this world. Let me read that one again. The instruction of the I Ching is just the opposite. Only those who practice innocence, acceptance, and detachment inherit true joy in this world. We often see around us how forcible effort brings about what appears to be progress. Our egos tempt us to believe that those gains are lasting and valuable, but the truth is otherwise. Whatever is won by desirous, ambitious, demanding manipulation of the ego will soon be lost. Others can always be temporarily browbeaten into doing things our way, but only hearts won by friendliness and sincere goodwill are true over time. The I Ching teaches us again and again that joy and success cannot be forced or stolen. They are achieved gradually but steadily by those who relate correctly to others and to the higher power. To relate correctly means to steadfastly practice innocence, detachment, acceptance, modesty, and gentleness. Life is full of shortcuts, but this is the only route that leads to true joy. The image of the hexagram is that of two lakes joined together to keep from drying up. It is an encouragement to us to join with like-minded friends now in the discussion and contemplation of higher things. If we engage in an ongoing conversation about proper principles with our friends, our relationship to truth is steady and our ego cannot seduce us into the doubt, fear, and anxiety that lead away from joy. In your heart, be firm in holding to what is good and honest and correct. In your thoughts and actions, be gentle and accepting. Those who persevere on this path will meet with true joy and lasting success. And let's see. Last but not least, I would like to share our next reading. And the last time we met, we read the Book of Tokens, the Hierophant. And today I just want to put up the Lovers. Now, I don't think I'm going to read the whole thing on the Lovers here because that would take, a little more time. And I've already had you guys for 44 minutes now. But looking at this, I'm thinking almost like, how apropos, the two lovers. And especially after, let's see, can we, oh no, am I going to be able to show this up here? Let's see, I don't know. There we go. Well, sort of. But you look at the two lovers card, and it reminds me of the lake. It reminds me of the lake. And why do I say that? Because lovers are like twins. Even though, you have the yin and the yang. You have the masculine and you have the feminine. You have two opposites, but they're like the same. Like hot and cold are basically the same. Think about it. Stick your hand in fire. Eventually, your hand's going to turn black. It's going to die, and it's going to be burned, and it's going to be useless anymore. The same thing with cold. Frostbite. Frostbite will turn your hand black. It dies. It's useless anymore. Where there's hot start and cold end, or cold end and hot start, it's the same. It's just two different ends of the spectrum, but it's the same. And that's with the lovers. You have two elements coming together that function in different capacities, but it's basically, it emanates from the one. So like from the Tao becomes two, and so on and so forth. So I'm just looking at this Lover's card and thinking about reflection and what ideas are reflecting in your life today. What parts of your conscience, what parts of your unconscious and things that are buried in your subconscious, how are they being synthesized? How are you consciously synthesizing those two aspects of you? How are you reflecting to yourself? What is it you're learning from your external environment, and how are you synthesizing that within your internal environment? How are you going about the exchange of your inner world with your outer world, with your idea of self and who you truly are? How are you connecting with your significant other and creating that union and seeing what that union can produce? How are you growing from it? How are you lifting those weights and strengthening your muscles? How are you stretching and allowing energy to flow? So I'll leave that with you, and maybe later this evening we will read from the Book of Tokens. What aspects of yourself do you need to integrate today? Or do you need to let go? Are you willing to face? And what aspects are you willing and determined to project onto others instead of integrating them and facing them and exploring them so that you can better know yourself? All right, I'm going to get going. And hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day. And thank you for being here. And if you have any topics that you would like for me to explore, please feel free to email me. You can email me at priestessheart108, like 108, the number 108, 108, 108 at gmail.com. I appreciate you. I thank you so much. And at least this recording was under an hour. So I wish you peace and great bliss, and the sun is shining. Oh, take your D3. Take your D3. And one thing I learned today is do not take D3 at nighttime before bed. Take it in the morning when you eat, because D3 is basically sunshine in a bottle. Okay? And so when you take D3 at night, it's like you're bringing sunshine in when you should have darkness. And bringing that sunshine in at nighttime will disrupt your melatonin output, or whatever the melatonin does, so that your sleep cycle gets disrupted. I just learned that this morning from a doctor sharing his knowledge on D3. And so I want to share that with you. And another thing, if we're moving into spring soon, but if you suffer from seasonal effectiveness disorder, which I do. D3 is very important to take, and it will help you get over that. Because normally I'm the type of person where if it's like 3 or more days of overcast and there's no sunshine going on, I have slowed down and I have a dark cloud over me, and I feel like the world has come to an end and I just want to annihilate myself. Yeah. But I've been taking D3 religiously for the past 3 months, and I notice I have not had any bouts of seasonal depression since taking the D3. So I just want to leave that tip with you. I love you guys. Have a great day. Be in touch, and I will see you later. Peace and great bliss.